Hey everybody, guess what time it is? It's been a year, so it's time to podcast. Welcome, my name is Charlotte and I'm coming to you from northern Lower Michigan, and it is the end of April. It is Sunday, April 30th, and yes, tomorrow is May 1st and we are expecting a high of 41 and rain and snow. Yeah, thanks. We'll take your pity. Anyway, that's what happens. 2 weeks ago, it was 85 for a week. Go figure. And so it has been a year. It's probably been over a year. So needless to say, I have a number of projects to go over today. So we're just going to quit the preamble, get right smack dab into this. If you are new to my channel, thank you for stopping in. One thing you should be aware of is that we have 3 dogs plus our daughter's puppy, who is now 1, who likes to bark and is the smallest and the loudest. So you will hear dogs barking from time to time during this vlog. Every single time it happens. And so I'm going to go over knitting and yarn first. Then we will move into a variety of quilts and quilting projects. So let's get started. So it's been a year, so I've got a number of finished objects. And oh, they're right here. And I have a yarn purchase to show you, but not that one. Okay, there is a pattern out there taking the knitting groups by storm, and it is by Petite Knits. I actually have 2 Petite Knits patterns to go show you today. The first one is the Sophie scarf. And it's a Sunday, so my husband's home, and yes, that's him yelling at the dog. It's like, I have time right now to podcast, and I'm ready to chat. I'm all jazzed up and ready to talk to people, so it's time to make a podcast instead of waiting until the house was empty tomorrow. Anyway, so the Sophie scarf. I've made 3 of them, but they are very quick to knit. I highly recommend the pattern. It is super easy. It is a quick project. Now, one of these I have given away. This one was the first one I made. This was from Scrap Yarn. So I cannot tell you the yarn, and I held it double with some navy mohair, and I believe the navy was actually a Roberta Rae Fibers. It might have been Executive Decision was the name of the navy mohair, but that was held double. And he's right outside the door barking. So, not that this goes with my striped shirt or anything, but the best way to wear this is you start on the front and come around to the back, wrap it in the back, and then tie another knot here. It's fabulous, and again, just ignore the stripes on my shirt. And it's just, if you're like me and your neck is cold all winter long and all spring long when it's still 40 degrees outside, this is fabulous, and I really like it. So this one was for me. I've made another one out of, oh, I've got it right over here. Well, I had some scrap yarn, and again, I am having problems. This was all scrap yarn, so you need about 38 grams, I found, to make a large Sophie scarf. Now there's also a Sophie shawl, but this is the scarf, the smaller one. I made a rosy, blushy rose one, and I gave that away as a gift. And this one is also a gift. However, I did notice, and this is La Bien Aimée, Amy scrap that I have. The person that this is for loves neutrals, and she has beautiful brown hair, so I think that's going to be lovely on her. But an interesting difference to note, so this one was held double with mohair. This one was not. And there is a significant size difference. And I'm wondering if the mohair, because everything else was the same, the size of the yarn. Now I will say, and I don't know what this yarn was, it's something I had bought 8 years ago when I first started knitting. La Bien Aimée, her fingering yarn sock yarn is really, really thin. So I'm wondering if that is also part of it. So it could be that this yarn is much thinner than this yarn, plus this one had the mohair. So I'm curious as if I had used mohair, and I didn't on this one, because I didn't know if a non-knitter would like it. And not every knitter likes mohair either, aside from allergies, but some people find it itchy, but others don't. They find it super soft, and I didn't want to risk her finding it itchy and never wearing it, so I did not use the mohair. But she's an extremely petite person, so hopefully this will fit just fine. And the screen is really taking the warmth out of this. It is a much warmer, a goldeny type hue to it. The screen is making it really gray, and for whatever reason the screen is taking the warmth out. So that's the first knitting pattern. Wanted to show you the Sophie scarf by Petite Knits. Highly recommend it. And I would imagine if you wanted something a lot longer, you could do the Sophie scarf. It's going to be the same exact idea, just wider and longer. The second one I made, another Petite Knit pattern, and I did buy 2 or 3 more of her Petite patterns, which I need to go down. My closest yarn shop is Wool and Honey, which is in Cedar, Michigan, which is south of Traverse City, and it takes me almost an hour and a half to get down there. Before the pandemic, I went down and treated myself and went there on my birthday. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, and I just haven't gotten back down there. So, but I need to do that because I would like to get yarn for a couple of the best patterns from Petite Knits that I have purchased. But anyway, this is my next finished object, the Oslo hat by Petite Knits. Now I understand with a brim, that's called a watchman's cap, a watch cap, as opposed to a beanie, which is this style, and I've shown this before. This is if you're a beginner hat knitter, beginning knitter, or if you just want a quick project, this is the Ross hat, which I have shown this one before. I mean, it's fine. I like it, and this is made out of sock yarn, so actually this is perfect for this time of year, where you don't need a full-blown winter hat, but you just need something, and my ears hurt if the cold wind is blowing on my ears, so this does cover my ears, which is great. So this is beanie style. However, I do prefer hats with a brim. So this is the Oslo hat. This yarn was a gift from my mom. Thank you, Mom. And I actually, look at all that I have left. There's enough here to make a Sophie scarf. So that is the plan, to make a Sophie scarf. So the lace weight is Tussa Kissed. I think Mom got these at her local yarn shop. It is alpaca linen and Tussa silk. Have not heard of Tussa silk before. And this is, oh wait, now I don't know which one's which. Alpaca linen, okay, this is the Tussa Kissed. 60% alpaca, 30% linen, 10% tussa silk. So that is, you can see the strands kind of have a linen-y appearance to them. And then this one is Dale Kid Silk Errol. Taking a gander stab at that one. 50% mohair, 20% silk, and 18% ull, ULL. Wow, these are fibers I am not aware of at all. So this brim, it's an interesting construction. I had to read it a few times, and it's pretty roomy. I'm actually considering giving this to a friend who this is her. This is a gorgeous color, but I think this for wearing this color, she wears these pastel-y, eggshelly colors. So I might give it away. Or I'll make her the Sophie scarf. I'll keep this and give her the Sophie scarf. But it hasn't interested the brim creating this. This is actually double thickness. The brim itself is double thickness, and then there's the layer here. So your ears are actually covered by 3 layers. So I have not worn it outside yet, but I would imagine that that would be nice and warm in the wind, is having that covered by 3 layers. So, but I like the pattern. I really like how it fits. At first I thought it was a little too big, but I think it's great. It isn't too tight. And I would make another one. And if I make another one, in previous episodes I have talked about the Newfoundland Ellie that we had and how I was getting yarn made from her fur. And I have loads of it left. You'll have to look at a previous episode. I have shown it and talked, and I've made other items with it. But that would be extremely warm to have 3 layers of the Newfian wool. I think she had to add like 30% wool because the Newfie fiber was so fine and fluff that she needed something to give it some strength. So she added 30% just wool that she had with the mill. But anyway. So a second finished object, Petite Knit Oslo hat. Another highly recommended pattern. So let's do that, take that off. Let's see, are those, I think those, oh, then you get hat hair. Try to fix that. All right, hang on. Clark came in. Do you want to come up here, Clark? Your face is filthy. His face is filthy. How did you get so filthy? How did you get so dirty? All right, you sit down right there. Okay, well, if I've completed another object that I forgot to bring to the podcast, then I will have to show it to you next year. Oh, I miss podcasting, and hopefully it'll be sooner than a year before I podcast again. Oh, we're doing the rub your face everywhere. Okay. All right, what pattern is this, and why don't I have it? This is the In Good Company wrap by Espace Tricot. And why I don't have the pattern handy, I don't know, because I've got it memorized at the moment, but I don't know where I put it, because I will need it by the time I get through the stockinette section. So I'll have to flash it on like a split screen or something. So it's the In Good Company wrap. I have attempted this pattern before, and it was just the wrong yarn. That's when I was making a wrap for our exchange student for her graduation from gymnasium in Denmark. And so you have seen this yarn a number of times now. This is Shibui Knits Reed, which is their linen, color mineral, 100% linen. And these are, how many grams? 50 gram skeins. So let's see, I was crocheting a halter top, scrapped that, didn't like how the fabric was feeling. What did I make before that? I was making something before that with it because then I needed to buy more yarn to make the halter top. So I have like 8 skeins of this. But I am, oh, there goes Clark. All right, we got stuff going everywhere down here. Here we are so far. And there's fringe on the ends eventually when I finish it. But this is linen, so there are some ridge rows with different things. Then we have the I don't know if in crochet, I think that's called broomstick crochet with the large holes like that. So, but I don't know if that's what they call it in, is that called broomstick in knitting? I don't know. But anyway, and then, so right now I'm on the stockinette. Why can't I say that today? Stockinette section. And you go stockinette until there's 57 inches from the cast on end. So I've got a ways to go. I'm probably 24, 25 inches in. But it goes super fast. It is stockinette, but I don't mind purling. I mean, if you're going to knit, you have to purl. So I don't mind that at all. And it's linen, so will I get it done so I can actually wear it this summer? I don't know. It's gardening season, which, if you're interested, I have been posting some gardening videos. And that season is upon us, and the flower shop I work at opens in 9 days, so it's about crazy season. So this is my next work in progress. So my one big purchase last year, I only made one yarn purchase all year because I still have yarn from where? Yes, Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Still making it through that, but I have mentioned before how much I enjoy the Chelsea Yarns Advent Calendar. And so she does these postcardy type things that come with it. So this was for 2022. And après ski was the theme. And this year it came with a complimentary, and I can't show you this side because it has the code to get the pattern for free, but there was a complimentary pattern, and anyone who's interested in it can buy the pattern now, so I will show it to you shortly. And then she always gives a key, kind of, I don't know, what would you call this? It's not directions. The labels, so the yarn names for each one of the minis. And I got the 24 minis with the extra full skein of yarn. So this was the full skein of yarn. She does superwash nylon 80/20, or you can do is it sparkle? No, not sparkle yarn. What's the, is it called sparkle? The yarn with the metallic in it? Can't remember. I never buy it. And I always get the non-sparkle. I just get the straight up. Oh, there's some dog hair. And so I've already started using these guys. But lovely, and this is how much I have left over. I mean, for goodness sakes. So that was one of the colors. Let's see. I still have them in their bags, so I know I don't need to know at this point, but and she gives them all in these linen bags, and they're numbered, as you can see. And so these are the colorways, and I'm just following. I mean, you could have used you can use any mini that you want for this pattern, of course. And I didn't have to keep these labeled by date, but I just wanted to. So these are the colors I've yet to get to. So the top half will be quite pinky, blush pinky, and then the bottom half is going to have a lot of blues and greens in it. That was just so pretty. I was tempted to maybe just reuse all of the pinky ones and not use the blue and the green, but I'm just going to keep going. I can do some scrappy socks, like alternate a pink and a blue. There's all kinds of things you can do with leftover minis. Oh yeah, so it's gardening season, but yet I polished my nails. I was sitting at the kitchen counter watching video on YouTube, and I thought, hey, I'm going to be here for a number of minutes. I should polish my nails because I'll sit here long enough. It's a little dry. All right. And she also included this, those metal, looks like old-fashioned stoneware, the metal, a mug. She had some candies. And so this project, it is, oh, here it is on my clipboard. Let's see. So it's in black, and I think it's in color now, but at the time of the Advent, because this was available at the very beginning of the Advent, so the idea was that you could use a mini a day and do the pattern through the month of December. So that's why she initially released it without color. So this is a cowl bandana. So it's a solid, it's a circle, so you just slip it over your head. I really hemmed and hawed on whether or not to make this, because if you've watched me before, you'll know I'm not a huge fan of triangles and wearing triangles, and I'm definitely generally not a fan of things hanging down the front. But I didn't know what else I would use the minis for. Oh yeah, I do have one more finished object right here. I knew there was one more that I used minis with, but anyway. But I decided to go ahead to make it, and in this pattern you hold it double with mohair. So I used to get the Stephen West Mystery Knit-Along Club that he does in the summer times. Also in the Stephen West yarn, Hedgehog Fibers was one of the dyers. And I never did make any of the Stephen West patterns. I just wanted the yarn. And so this is alpaca, is it boucle? Is that how you pronounce it? I don't even know if she carries this anymore. Again, I've had this for a number of years. It's 66% alpaca, 44% silk. Isn't it romantic is the colorway. And, oh, and the Chelsea yarns also came with this lovely canvas knitting bag. So that's where my project is stored in. But this is the boucle from Hedgehog Fibers that has just been taking up space on my knitting cupboard, and I thought, hey, wait a minute, that is going to go fantastically. And here's some more of the other colors that I have yet to work with. That goes famously with all the rosy, blushy hues from Chelsea yarns. So this is how far I am on the cowl. Again, it's very, very fast. So there's the opening, it starts down here, you make a bigger and bigger and bigger triangle until you finally join here. So these are all of the Chelsea Luxe Advent Minis held double with the Hedgehog Fibers. So, and there's a nice detail down the middle there, a nice ridge pattern. So I think it's lovely, and so this is why I'm still considering just skipping all the greens and the blues and keeping it this rosy peach color, but we shall see. And it's very, very soft. It's lovely. So I think, I don't know if I can get this on without it coming off the needles. I don't want it to come off the needles. Yeah, I mean, that's going to look lovely. And again, if you've watched me for any length of time, you know that I don't like things to look away, just hanging like here. They got to be up around the neck. So I am making the small version. There's a small and a large. I think the difference is the circumference. All right. All right, now we have cowl hair. Woo! Okay. So that is my other work in progress. I have a mind to make some more socks. Did I finish a pair of socks in the last year? Can't remember. I will have to show them off later if I did. So this 2022 was my third year with the Chelsea Yarns Advent calendar. And so I think I had last year's all set up on a tray, and I wanted to make a striped sweater. Andrea Mowry has a, Clark wants out now. Do you want to go out, Clark? All right, just a minute. Of course, I wanted to bark at something. And then I just, with a mini, and so basically what I've done before when I do stripes on a sweater is I use 50% of the color on the body and then 25 on a sleeve and 25 on a sleeve, and it roughly keeps the stripes even. Well, with the mini, I mean, your stripe's going to be like maybe one row, maybe two rows on this. I mean, it just wasn't going to be. And I thought, you're just giving yourself a huge headache if you're going to try to make a striped sweater and you want the sleeves to match using minis. So I scrapped that idea, and then I thought, what else am I going to do with 50 minis? And so then I said, hey, Lucy from Attic 24, crocheter out of England, has a number of blanket patterns out there, and she just seems like a delightful person. I've read her blog for quite a while, and I've always wanted to make a granny stripe blanket. So then I said, well, there you go. So Clark wants to come back in. Clark. And I suppose you want to come back up here again too. Oh, for goodness sakes, Clark. There you go. So I pulled out those 3 skeins of yarn from La Bien-Aimée, the light, barely dyed banana cream color, and held them double with the minis, and I just went until the mini was done, did is it called a Russian join? Where when you're joining some yarns together, you cross one end over, and then wrap them around each other and twist it and spit splice. And so the colors shift wherever the yarn ended. So I used every speck of yarn. So I don't know that I think I went through all 50 skeins. So I have an Attic 24 granny stripe blanket. So this is 1/2. I don't know how far you can see. And I just went, I don't know if her patterns are free or if you I can't remember if I paid for it, so I don't want to give any numbers because I can't remember. But you just do a certain number of stitches, you decide what size hook is best for your yarn weight, and Bob's your uncle, you've got your project going. So here's the other half. And it is heavy, and it's delightful. And this, you know, when you have a particular dyer, just like with a particular fabric designer, it doesn't matter if you're doing something scrappy, it doesn't matter if they're from different collections. Unless you're going for complete scrap, where you have everything, all of your scraps in the bin, and you close your eyes and you pull something out. That's complete scrap. And but this is using yarns from the same dyer. So even though they're from two different advents, the colors all still go together perfectly. And I mix them up. They're not in order. They're not in numerical order from year to year. I basically wound them all up and just stuck them in a bag and pulled the next one out. And this is held double with the La Bien-Aimée. And I ended up ordering some bare yarn, which you could not tell the difference between the dyed yarn. I know I keep going on and on about that, but I was so let down that that's the yarn La Bien-Aimée sent out. Anyway, I'll stop talking about it. And so I did order some more bare yarn. So I think I used 7 full skeins of bare yarn, and it would have been 24, so 48 minis. And it's a wide blanket. So here, this could go on a full-size bed. It's wide enough. Wouldn't go down the sides, but it would cover like someone sleeping in a full-size bed, definitely a twin size. 2 people could easily fit under this, under the couch. But I really am very, very happy with it. I was also going to do a border around the edge, and then I decided not to, and I just liked the edge was pretty enough that I didn't have to worry about covering it up. So I did not do a border, and then I didn't know what color to use for the border, so I just left it without. So, Attic 24 Granny Stripe Blanket. And it really went in no time. I don't know if it was probably a 5mm. No. Let's see, my mom started one, and we talked about maybe a 4.25mm hook. And yeah, 2 fingering yarns held double. Let's see. So this year I've made a yarn purchase. If you are a fan of Fiberhustle, you will know that Chip and Aaron have opened up a Fiberhustle store. So go on out to fiberhustle.com if you'd like to see what shenanigans the guys are up to. I'm waiting for a smaller chip basket, maybe in their next update, but I think I missed the last one and they all sold out. So if you've got your eye on anything by the Fiberhustle guys, you better be on top of it when they have their update. But I did score some yarn from Aaron. So look at these fabulously bright colors. And so you'll have to check the shop inventory changes depending on the update and what they have available. Aaron uses 75-25 superwash merino nylon, 463 yards, so nice big skein of yarn there. Look, I just could not pass up. And look at that, lovely. So, well done, gentlemen. So that has been my only purchase of this year so far, except for Chelsea Yarns has already had, and if you're interested in a yarn advent for anybody, I would check their websites now. I'm seeing a lot of them popping up on Instagram, advertising signups. Chelsea Lux has already sold out. And, but it's crazy. But, you know, I couldn't even imagine. I could not imagine what it takes to put a yarn advent together. I will never make, Roberta Rae Fibers will never make one. Just the amount of effort. So I don't even know. I don't even know if they dye it like this and then divide it up. Do you buy minis already divvied up? I don't even know. I'm not going to look into it because we're not doing it. But yeah, yarn advents are expensive, but the amount of time, and then look at Chelsea Lux, you know, everyone is individually wrapped. And then she's got all the postcards with it. She's got the, you know, people put a lot of effort into these things, and, you know, and so if you have a favorite dyer and they make a yarn advent, maybe just treat yourself one time, if you want, and just understand that they're expensive because there's so much effort that goes into dyeing and packaging minis. But anyway. So, speaking of Roberta Rae Fibers, we've kind of, not officially, but ended up taking last year pretty much off. Just a lot of family stuff last year that just took time away from, you know, with all the things you have to do. Yarn dyeing kind of went to just to the waiting room, basically, of life, because of everything else that we both had going on. So, but we've got a show coming up, Tip of the Mitt Fiber Fair. So if you are in Michigan and want to come to a farm fiber festival, come and join us the first weekend in June. I believe this year it's the 3rd and the 4th, or is it the 4th and the 5th? First weekend in June. It's in Petite at the Emmett County Fairgrounds. And at the moment we have 38 vendors. We have, I'm working on a food truck. They're so hard to get. And we will have sheep herding demos. There's a local vet that trains her dogs for sheep herding. And the demos are just amazing to watch the working dogs. And just on a command, you know, they move the sheep where the person tells them to move them to. It's a really neat thing to watch. We'll have shearing demos. We will have fiber animals there. It really is a nice event. So please come out and support all of our vendors. But we will be there, Roberta Rae Fibers. So I thought I would show you some of our, they're not on our store yet. We just dyed them a couple of weeks ago, so they don't even have labels on them yet. We don't have color names yet, but I just thought I would show them to you while I'm talking about yarn. And because we took a year off, it's time to get the promotion going again and showing everybody what we do. So these yarns I'm going to show you right now are 10-10-80 merino MCN merino cashmere nylon. A couple of beauties there. Got some lovely speckles here. We had a great time. We were in the garage all day. Got a lovely pink one here with some dark, what is that? Oh, that's not a speckle. This one's fab. Nice little neon one there. Again, these are all cashmere nylon. Let's see. These might be the same yarn. I might have grabbed two of the same one. Excuse me. What? I've got the burps today. So, this one is fabulous. I would actually like to make a Sophie scarf out of this one. And I would even hold it double with a white mohair. You could even do a pale pink if you wanted. And so the whole, you would have the white background and a pale pink halo around it with all those lovely speckles. Love this one. Here's another fave. And we're still on Cashmere, MCN. And if a name pops into your head, comment below if you have any interesting names. So that one's great. Love this one. That one, almost like terrarium. Maybe terrarium would be a good name for that. I don't know. Oh yeah. Maybe ooh, trout pond, maybe? I don't know. And this one turned out great. Pretty sure I'm going to call this one Camo. So those were all the new cashmeres. We also did some DKs. Oh, so these are all superwash DK. I didn't bring up everything we did. Let's see. We also did some 100% new merino DK, but I didn't bring those up. So these are superwash 75/25 merino nylon DK. So got that guy there. Love the colors on that. This is one of my faves. Again, this is Superwash DK. And if the name strikes you while you're looking at it, comment below. That's a great one. Now this one didn't turn out exactly the color I was looking for. And again, the screen is taking some of the warmth away. That's pretty accurate if I back up a little bit, but it's still pretty cool. Let's see, and two more. This one, love this one. Got some speckles in there. And I did a camo on the DK also. So pretty. Love the colors on that one. So yeah, Roberta Rae Fibers. We are back at it. Once we have names and they're labeled, I'll have postings on our website, but don't expect it anytime soon. I'm sure I would have to have it by the Fiber Festival in June. So within the next few weeks. It's supposed to rain next week, so, and be cold and just nasty, like Monday through, well, today's Sunday, so tomorrow through Wednesday. So that'd be a good time to maybe work on labels and names. And also quilting. I have quilting to do. So let's move on to quilting. If you are only here for the yarn, thank you so much. That is the end of the yarn content. Please like and subscribe. Every YouTuber tells you that, and that's because the more activity on a person's channel, the higher up on the whatever's the ladder they go, and then they spread you out to more people to watch you. So people like to grow their channel. That's why we're here. So please like, not even just me, but any YouTube video that you watch. If you enjoyed the video, give them a like. If you want to watch more of their videos, give them a subscribe and make their day. All right, so anyone sticking around for the quilting portion, let's get started. So I had oh, okay, there was a phone number here, and I'm like, what is this phone number for? I've shown you this pattern, and of course I think I started this maybe 2 weeks before Christmas. before Christmas, you know what? I'd like a Christmas quilt. Let's make one. Little town, Chelsea Stratton Designs. So I decided to make this out of Rifle Paper Company Christmas fabric, which I have shown this last year. And I mean like a whole year ago last year. And I got as far as getting the rows made. Is there sashing? Yeah, so it looks like I need to cut the sashing and just sew the quilt top together. It's basically done. So it was a very enjoyable pattern to make, very clear instructions. So, like for instance, here's one row, and then you'll notice I fussy cut some of the doors and windows and put some of the rifle paper, he's a nutcracker, I believe, and there's a ballerina in that window. Not quite sure what he is, but a mouse with a sword. But I thought, how fun would that be? So I tried to make the roofs and doors with the darker fabric. I went the background fabric for the windows, except for when I did the fussy cutting. I tried to do a variety of patterns for the houses. I tried to stick with green patterns for the trees, and I did the same gold star for all of the stars. So that one looks like it has ornaments on it. So there's a house where I did not fussy cut. But it's adorable, and you can't go wrong with Rifle Paper Company. The trees do repeat, so I think there are 3 of most all the tree color fabrics. And there's quite a few characters in those windows. So I don't know if you want to see every row, but there's that house. That looks pretty. So there should be 0 excuses to not have this done by Christmas this year. Even if with gardening season. Look at that house. Woo! And the metallic, the stripes are fun. And then each row, you may have noticed, each row the houses and trees alternate. So this one starts with the tree, the one above it starts with the house, and they alternate all the way across. So, but that's all I have to do is put the sashing in and sew the rows together, and it's finished. So that's exciting. But I ran out of time before Christmas last fall and simply could not get it done. But that's all right. Part of the reason is that we moved and we built a house and we moved in. I spent my first night here Thursday, December 15th. So while all this is going on, I'm trying to get this quilt done by Christmas. I spent my first night at the house December 15th. The furniture arrived Friday the 16th, and our first dinner party was Saturday the 17th. So, and then it was just a blur after that, because Christmas Eve was a week later. So that's a work in progress. The next quilt, because I had already shown you the other quilt top that I had done, the sampler from last year, which I did really enjoy. Let's go to this one. I have shown you this one before. I don't know when, it was probably 2 years ago. But this was my own design. And I'm starting to write quilt patterns. So this will be quilt pattern number 2 that I write up. This one should be a lot easier to write up than the next one I'm going to show you. But anyway, I'm showing you this again because my mom made it, but she turned her circle pieces out. And so I'm going to insert some pictures right now on my mom's quilt. That was fun to see the difference in that. And so I've already talked about this quilt and how I made it. If I can find the video that I showed this off in, I will link it below. But this year I will be writing up a quilt pattern for it. But I wanted to show off my mom's quilt because she changed things up and it looks a lot different. There's another quilt I'm going to insert a video clip. I should do that right now before I forget. And it is the house quilt. I knew I had another quilt. And I believe I have shown that last year. And it was from, and I know I've shown you this book, a Scrapbook of Quilts. Highly recommend this book. And I mainly bought it because I wanted to make a bunch of these pillows. I ended up making the quilt first instead. But a Scrapbook of Quilts. Did Fat Quarter Shop publish this? Yes, it's So Emma. So this is through the Fat Quarter Shop. It's So Emma publication. And I made, and I've shown this before when I was first making it, Carrie's Neighborhood Quilt is the one that I made. So I'm going to insert that clip now because it was a gift and I've already given it away, so I don't have it to show you today, but I made sure to do a quick little video to show it off, so I will play that now. Hey, so I'm recording this video. Today is Monday, April 17th, and I do not have enough time to do my entire video, but I need to show you this quilt because I'm giving it to its recipient tomorrow. And so I won't have time to do my whole video and this quilt will be gone and I really want to show it to you. So we're making a separate video to insert into the full vlog. So I have talked before about really wanting to make a house quilt, and so I did, and I'm absolutely positively in love with it. This was from a Scrapbook of Quilts. This is one of the row houses. I will link below the exact pattern. There are so many things from that book I would like to make. And so this is a combination of never fails. Let me shut the door. Every single podcast. And that's my daughter's puppy, so he's learning the ropes. So, and I used my stash of K-Facet and Anna Maria Horner fabrics. And I did all the machine quilting. Honestly, I'm standing right in front of the window. There's absolutely nothing out there to bark at. Nothing. And so here we go. This is the bottom half of the quilt. And I'm thrilled with how the quilting turned out. And if you've watched my podcast before, you know that I like a lot of quilting. I like to quilt a project within an inch of its life. So I did it's not ribbon candy, but I can't remember what it's called, in between the, okay. All right, I had to chill the children down. That was just out of control. For nothing. So if you have watched my quilting before, you know that I like very dense, heavy quilting. I did this on my Janome machine. So it's not ribbon candy, but I can't remember what the swirlies is between. I did that between the rows of houses and trees. Each house I just did like siding on a house. I left the windows and doors unquilted. And then on like the gables, I continued the siding, the horizontal siding. On the roofs, I did the pebbles, which I always love the pebble, and then I get started and it takes forever, but I really like it. And then I did swirlies, kind of like clouds in the air over the houses. I just did a straight line around the border of the quilt. But here is another group of houses. I'm just so happy how this turned out. And then on the trees, you can see I kind of did a center stem and a leaf pattern in the trees. And then at the base of the trees, they almost look like giant agave plants. I just did some freeform kind of tall plants in the stitching, the bottom of the trees. And so excited. And yes, I'm going to make another one. I do have my Christmas quilt, the rose house quilt. The rows are all done. I just need to sew them together and quilt it. Let me find another set of trees right here. So you can see the stitching I did at the bottom to make it look like there were plants down there, and the stitching on the trees. And then, wait till you see, you've seen flashes of the back, but this, I did not piece this. I was asked if I pieced this. No, this is K facet fabric. Isn't that stunning? And it occurred to me, and I'm sure someone else has done this, so I'm not reinventing the wheel or by any means, but I've also been wanting to make a log cabin quilt. And wouldn't it be amazing if these squares were cut out, fussy cut, and they were the center of the log cabin? That would be cool. And I have some of this left over. So add that to the list of projects. But anyway, so here is my fantabulous house quilt. And the recipient is an interior designer. And I just think she's going to love this. All right, so I'm pretty proud of that quilt. I'm pretty proud. I sat at the sewing machine to start machine quilting. I had no plan. I had no idea how I was going to quilt it, what I was going to do, and I just went section by, hey, let's do this here. Hey, let's do the scalloped swirls. And it looks like clouds going by. It's almost like a Van Gogh cloud to have those little scallopy clouds. It was quite funny because when she opened it, I had the inside folded in, so when she opened it up, she saw the back. And she was holding it up. She's like, I love it. This fabric is great. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Thank you. And so and I said, that's the back of the quilt. Oh, and she turned it around. Oh my God, it's the house quilt. So it's funny. Oh my goodness. All right. So see what happens when you don't podcast for an entire year. You are loaded with finished objects. Okay. So the last project I want to cover today is this quilt, which I've talked about this a number of times. I've talked about the process a number of times, but it's actually really, really close. I actually have it out to pattern testers. And it is the Starflower quilt. So this was the first one I made, and this one is smaller because I used jelly rolls, and so that was the largest size square I could use. But I wanted to test it out to see what I thought, and a big change that I made was that in this quilt I used a different fabric for the corner squares. And in my pattern I'm using, in the second quilt that I made, which I still haven't quilted yet, it's just the quilt top, I made all of the corner squares the same color. Just added where this one is super scrappy. It's all from the same jelly roll, same fabric designer, and again, I had this jelly roll for years. It's Meadow something. I already went through it on another podcast. No longer available. It's years old. And I used that because I wanted to, I'd been had it for so long, and I wanted to test it. So then this one, which I've shown, is the full size pattern, and this is where I use the black in all of the corner squares. So the corner squares all match. So I showed this last year, so it's still the quilt top. Now, this entire quilt was made, well, these are solid squares here. Everything else is a half square triangle. The entire quilt are half square, yeah, half square, half triangle squares, whichever way it's called. So you're matching all these points. Well, it was suggested to me quite heavily that maybe somebody doesn't want to use half square triangles over the entire project, and maybe they would like to learn how to make flying geese units. And that really threw me for a loop as far as writing to someone how to make a goose chase unit, because they're different. Like this is a goose chase unit here, and this is a goose chase unit here, as well as this one up here. So telling someone how to make this one is different than this one simply because of where the orange is, let's say. So that really put the brakes on my project mentally, trying to figure that out. But I will say at the end of the day, it is a cleaner look, and I'm gonna have to move the camera and take you over to the table where I'm making a new quilt top with the flying geese units, and I'm going to call this Starflower quilt. And as soon as I get feedback from my testers, the other obstacle is the actual graphic design of the pattern. I have no idea how to do that. I don't do graphic design work, and you have patterns like right now, this is the pattern. That's how I wrote the pattern. And then I used EQ8 and put everything in there. So you can see this is with the goose. That's a goose chase unit, so it has the rectangles. Instead of everything being a half square triangle like that, I went in and made this whole section flying geese units. So it actually, there are benefits to this. While it was harder for me to wrap my head around writing the directions, it does give a little bit of a cleaner look to the quilt, which I don't mind all the squares. I was perfectly happy with that, but there is a difference with the flying geese units, and it goes together quicker. So that's also a plus for those of us who have 10,000 projects going and to get to. So for instance, like here's all my notes on all the pieces and how many you need, and I want to make sure there's enough fabric, and I've got the fabric correct. So it's been hard, but I like it, and I think once I get through this first project, I think future projects will be quicker. Okay, so I'm going to move the iPad now, and yeah, I'm back to iMovie, so there's not a lot of, like I was a special effects editor before, but that was another obstacle for me not making a video in the last year. I would have projects and I'd be in the mood, but then I'm like, ugh, but then I have to edit it, and I feel like I have to relearn it all the time. So we're back to iMovie. There are 0 editing options. I mean, there's like 2. You can do a split screen, but you can't add text, you can't do this. So we're just gonna make it easy on ourselves. There's enough other stuff I gotta figure out. Okay, so I had to switch to my phone because the iPad didn't have a wide enough angle to get this whole block in without me having to hold the iPad up to the ceiling. Okay, so here we go. I wanted to use my Cafe Facet fabric collection for this. So again, you can see my love for his bright floral colors. And I really, really like a patterned background as opposed to a solid color. So I went to the store and bought that. Now, I did not get, this should be done and I was going to finish it, but at the end of the day, I decided, okay, so let me back up a little bit here. These are some of the Cafe, these are all fat quarters. So these are some of the fabrics I'm going to use in various spots. Look at that. Oh, gosh. And you know, I couldn't, they're all so different. There wasn't one fabric or theme. I wanted something to tie the blocks together. And so after I thought about it, you know, there wasn't anything here really that ties things together. And so I didn't want it to be so busy that, you know, you just, I wanted to have some way to tie these together. So this fabric I love. I made my daughter's skirt out of this years ago. I absolutely love it. I decided this was going to be the corners. So every block will have this print in the corners. So that was the first thing that tied everything together. And as I already mentioned, between my very first quilt and the second quilt top, I decided that the corner should be the same. So I liked this in the corners. Next is you've got a fabric here for the star here, and you've got the fabric here or the flower, and then the fabric for the star in the middle, and then you need the fabric for the diamond. Well, I wanted something to be similar between all the blocks without using the same exact fabric. So then I decided that the one thing that would be similar in all the blocks, not the same fabric, but similar, would be sticking with the polka dots, which I love polka dots. And I'm going to stick with polka dots for the diamonds. So all the diamonds are going to have the K facet polka dots. And I had this one in my stash, but that was pretty much the only one that I had. And then also the longer I looked at this block, there's too much red. There's not enough contrast. So, I mean, obviously you can see the polka dots, you can see the diamond, but everything was really red and orange and there wasn't a lot of contrast going on if you don't count that in the blue. So what I did is I ordered this from the Fat Quarter Shop. This is a stack, medium value, I'm assuming that's value, medium value spot, which I think they're meaning between the spots and the background fabric. It's not black and white, let's say. They're like, there's a light blue and a blue, there's a green and a, I don't know if that's gray, is on the top. So let me open this up. Okay, so I have already decided that for this, I mean, you could use that, but I decided the one I'm going to use for this one is, maybe that's not enough, but there isn't any, the green. What about that one? That was that my first intention? I think that's the one I thought I was going to use, but of course, now that I'm seeing it, is that enough of a contrast? If you have a favorite, comment down below. Let me know what you think. That's probably going to be the one. But if I put up a different one that you like better, let me know. See, but this is almost too close to what we've already got going on. And that bright blue brings out the blue there. I think I will stick with that one. But anyway, so I'll get that stitched up, but you should still, if you have a comment, feel free to comment below. So you can pretty much take any K-Facet collection from any year and mix it in a scrappy project, and it will all go together. Another designer that's like that is, well, Anna Marie Horner, my other favorite. So that's one tip for making a scrappy quilt, is to use one designer, but a number of their collections, or you can get their jelly rolls, you can get charm packs. This is a huge stack of Anna Marie Horner fabric. So it is all going to go together. It's multiple collections. And it's so beautiful, it has to sit up on my counter so I can see it. Well, I thought I recorded my little sign-off segment, but apparently I didn't hit record until I said end the video. So I just wanted to, if you're still here, thank you so much. Thank you for sticking through all the yarn and the fabric and the quilting. And hopefully it won't be another year before I make another video. And again, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. If you're still here, you must have. Why else would you be watching me close my video? Have a great day. Stay creative, keep creating, and thanks for watching. Till next time.